Welcome, my fellow project managers, to 40 Days to PMP Exam Success. It's always a pleasure to meet with you and walk you through the lay of the land for the PMP exam. So, today is day one. There are a few things I want you to understand as we continue to roll out this curriculum. You'll see more content, you'll see more possibilities in the form of books, in the form of audio, in the form of video. But for today, I wanted to give you the lay of the land regarding the mindset. Going into the PMP exam, you need to have a can do mindset. Some of you might have failed the exam prior to the new exam, and if you're coming into this experience, I just want you to have a positive mental attitude that you can do it. I will support you every step of the way. I will bring you the latest and greatest ideas, the latest and greatest from the grapevine, because I've got my ear down to the ground listening to what's going on. I heard from people who took the exam last week. There's a lot of scenario driven questions, very weighty, very verbose. So, those of you getting ready for your exam in the next few weeks, be ready to deal with a lot of text. And, like I told you in the first episode, the preamble, you got to go look at Jim Quick to get more information. But let's jump straight into what I have for today. I'm not going to keep you too long. I know it's a Monday morning, so I want to get you straight into it. All right. So, first and foremost, for those who have not met me, my name's Phil Akinwale. I've been a PMP for the past 20 years, going on 21 years now. I've been teaching this thing for about 20 years. Started training my colleagues in Honeywell, and that was very successful. I ended up working for a number of other organizations and eventually teaching project management to companies and especially the PMP exam worldwide. This PMP exam is going to be 180 questions. There's going to be 10 that don't count. You have 240 minutes. From what I'm hearing, you're going to need every single second for breaks and also to face the exam. You have the people, process, business breakdown. 33% is people, 41% is process, and 26% is business. To begin this, our first week is going to be on the people domain. The second and third week will be process. And the fourth week is going to be business. And beyond that, we're just going to deal with PMBOK guide stuff, AI stuff, everything that you need to get ready for the test. So, starting today, we're going into the people domain. As you can see on the screen, we've got 8 tasks. And the very first task is develop common vision. That's what we're dealing with today. Then we'll go to manage conflicts, lead a team, engage stakeholders, align stakeholder expectations, manage stakeholder expectations, help ensure knowledge transfer. And finally, we're going to get to plan and manage communication. So that's our target as far as week one. At the end of each session, I will very rapidly show you some questions for you to think about, and I will also show you the answers very quick. So if you don't want the spoilers, you might just want to tune out towards the end and come back when you have enough time to think about the questions. All right, so this is a journey we're going through. We're starting here. Very first one, develop common vision. But before we get into develop common vision, I would like to ask you a very quick question, or should I say, a few quick questions. Okay. The quick questions always follow the high level view of the task. So, this is the high level view of the task. For those of you who've been on this curriculum before, you know we've got a task and then we've got enablers. So, we've got task one, develop a common vision. You got 4 enablers to develop a common vision. The PMI says you should help ensure a shared vision. In other words, you got to ensure that there's alignment between the sponsor, the team, customers, not just the failed project charter, but a vision that is understood and that can permeate. That's number one. Number two, you got to promote the shared vision. It's not enough to have the vision has got to be shared. If you don't share the vision, then no one knows the vision, and that leads to bad things on the project. Number three, keep the vision current, recognize the triggers that mean the vision must be refreshed. So when you speak to customers and stakeholders and they give you signs that the vision is kind of eroding, well, that's a good sign that you might need to go back to the drawing board and get alignment all over again. Number 4, break down situations to find the root cause. Quick questions. Number 1, in Scrum, who is the single accountable owner of the product vision, even though the whole team helps build it? Okay, the answer to number 1, that's the product owner. Number 2, name the Agile artifact built in Sprint Zero that captures target group needs, features, and business goals. Now, this one might be a little bit hard for you if you've not dabbled into some of the world of PMI's development course on citizen developers. The answer to this is none other than the product vision board. The product vision board isn't a very common tool, but if you're dabbling into this exam, you got to know your product vision board and you got to know everything else that is vision related. Roman Pichler is the inventor of this, and it has been very popular in Agile circles. But as you can see here, it's a simple but immensely powerful tool that Agile practitioners, in particular Scrum, will be very familiar with. So it's a derivative of what you could call an Agile vision board. And you could say it's a clear and concise communication tool, and it acts as the team's North Star. If you look in the chat, I put a link to the PMI page where I got this from. It's not even in the PMBOK guide, if I remember correctly. So things like this, you got to understand that these exist outside of like the Agile practice guide. There's no image of this in there, but it's very helpful to remember and understand, both in practical Agile and also for your test. All right, number 3, which comes first, promoting the vision or helping ensure a shared vision exists in the first place? All right, the answer is, of course, helping ensure shared vision exists. You can't promote what doesn't exist, right? Number 4, what leadership style is most associated with promoting a shared vision on Agile teams? Okay, the leadership style in question is servant leadership. Number 5, a team member built the wrong feature because she wasn't on the distribution list for a scope change. What technique surfaces this kind of root cause? Do you have any ideas? Just guess. All right. The best answer, you could say RCA if you're not sure, which is root cause analysis. That's always one of the regular ones, but the 5 whys is probably a better one to get down to the root cause by asking why 5 times. All right, let's move on to our next set of questions. So this is really more getting into the true or false realm for very quick thinking. The product owner is accountable for the vision, even though building the product vision board is a team activity. True or false? All right, the answer to this one is true. Number 2, true or false? When stakeholders disagree about the vision, the project manager's first move should be to escalate to the sponsor. Okay, that one is false. Number 3, a change in executive sponsor is a valid trigger to review and refresh the vision. All right, that one is true. A new executive sponsor is definitely a reason because visions might change. Okay, number 4. A project chart and a product vision board are just 2 different names for the exact same document. All right, this is false. A project charter is used, as you know, more in the world of traditional. That's more predictive. And the product vision board is definitely more agile. So they're not the same thing. Project Charter has a lot of text. It could have some schematics, but it's not very common, usually a lot of text. And your vision board is more visual than anything else. All right, number 5, root cause analysis should happen before implementing a fix for a vision misunderstanding. Yes, that is true. All right. Always hold on to your root cause analysis. Very, very important for the PMP exam. So, my friends, you might ask, why did I dunk you straight into questions? The reason why I dunked you straight into questions is because this will get your mind quick and sharp so that you can follow as I go through the content. Like I always say, it's not one of those death by PowerPoint kind of classes. I want to make sure your brain is being engaged. So I got to ask you questions. All right, now let's go back to the very beginning because I really want to establish what this is about. This is about you as a project manager or a project leader in Agile or traditional, understanding what the PMI expects you to do on a project. So put yourself into your real world project. Do you help ensure a shared vision? You should. Are you promoting the shared vision? Are you keeping it alive? Are you keeping it visible throughout the entire project? Yes. Whether you are in the world of Agile or traditional, you should. What about keeping the vision current? Recognizing triggers. This is part of your responsibility. And number four, breaking down situations to find the root cause, diagnosing the true source of vision misunderstanding. Okay, so this is what the PMI expects from you. Let's jump into who does what in this task. In the world of predictive, we have the project sponsor. They are accountable. They own the business case. They ultimately authorize what the vision is and why the project exists. Flip side, in the world of Agile, we have the product owner. They own the why behind the product. They understand the way the accountability works, and it's on them. Ken Schwaber used to joke that they are the single ringable neck. Is a joke, but it means if anything goes wrong as far as this entire thing is concerned, vision wise, product wise, it's on the product owner. The product owner has a lot more visibility and authority than a lot of people think. So, accountable is the project sponsor in predictive, but it's the product owner in agile. In predictive, the project manager is responsible. A lot of times they draft the charter. Responsible could be in the world of Agile, the development team and the product owner to co create the vision board. Consult would be key stakeholders, functional managers, SMEs. Consult in the world of Agile will be Scrum Master, stakeholders, and customers. And then in the world of predictive, informed, project team, customers, end users, and in Agile, the wider organization and leadership. So whenever you approach the question, just remember who is really accountable for this. Because even though you, as a project manager, are active in sharing the vision and ensuring that it's kept up to date, it's not your call to say what the vision is raw, right? You don't decide the vision is told. You are a recaster of the vision, right? And then in the world of Agile or Scrum, it's a product owner that's accountable. But of course, there should be that shared responsibility to keep that vision alive and keeping everyone accountable, keeping each other mutually accountable. All right, let's move on to the next piece here. We have the enabler alignment management, not document management, when we are ensuring a shared vision. So, project sponsor authorizes resources, champions the vision. That's really most important. If it is non existent at the project sponsor level, everything falls apart. John Maxwell, my mentor, he said it well. He said, people buy into the leader first and then the vision. So before stakeholders accept the vision, think about it. They have got to trust the person presenting it. I don't know if you've ever been in an organization where you're thinking about what the project is meant to do, and the person telling it to you is not really convincing, right? Maybe even suspicious in some cases. If they're lacking credibility, if there's transparency lacking, it's not a good mix. So we want to make sure we are as transparent as can be, and there has to be that credibility as well. Key stakeholders define what success means, so they're very important here as well. And then customers and end users, they're the ultimate judges. So everyone has a piece in this vision task. All right, let's talk about some vision artifacts. We have the project charter we talked about, the product vision board. We also have the product roadmap, which is a very helpful way of seeing how the product evolves over time. And then we have mission and vision statements where they exist. If I was going to give you a tip for the exam, it would be if the scenario names a specific artifact, make sure you're matching predictive artifacts with a predictive approach or an agile artifact with an agile approach. Don't mix the two because when PMI gives you clues, you got to follow the clues, except there's a reason to see it as a distractor, which means for this people domain task, you still going to know the process related pieces in Agile to know if the answers are right or wrong when you see them. What does a great PM do? A great project manager ensures that misalignments are surfaced, ensures that every stakeholder has a voice, uses visual aids where possible, reaches documented agreement on what success looks like, and follow up in writing. And we're talking about the world of predictive. You know, the exam is now 60-40 in favor of Agile. So I honestly would expect a lot of Agile presence all over the exam, and you have no idea where PMI is going to come from. So you're going to know everywhere equally well. All right. I hope this stuff is making sense. If it is, smash that like button. Let me know that this stuff is gelling for you. Very importantly for the exam is when you come across questions, you got to be able to assess, watch this, which enabler is this likely to be? Which means knowing your tasks and enablers very well. When you know which enabler it just helps you be able to answer the questions. And the more familiar you are with the enablers, the more you're able to pinpoint where the exam is going. Okay? All right. Enabler number 2, promote the shared vision. So the shared vision is not static, right? It's something that could evolve. And you got to see your project charter as a document that could be revised, right? The charter or the vision board is a living compass. It's not a filled document. So, first one we have here, establishing a shared vision. The project manager must continually promote the vision across the entire project. Storytelling helps, right? We also talk about user stories. Well, we can take it up a level and we can have even bigger, more epic like stories to storytell. We can reinforce the vision through roadmaps, product goals, sprint boards. We can also reference the vision when making decisions. This is how this connects to our goal of whatever it is. Stakeholder reporting, using strategic alignment in your status reports, linking progress to intended outcomes is also important. And sprint reviews, it's not just a demo. This was stated quite precisely in the Scrum Guide. When you have a sprint review, don't see it as just a demo, but see it as an opportunity to reconnect delivered features to product vision and gather feedback. So, all throughout, you are promoting this shared vision, not just at the beginning, not just in the middle, not just in the end, but all throughout. Now, to promote shared vision, you got to understand how to do it with a servant leadership posture. And the servant leadership posture, looking at John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership, we get further insight to the mindset, right? I included this in a curriculum because I've taught it to many organizations and it's been very helpful in them understanding what exactly leadership is and how to go up the levels of leadership to become a more effective project manager, leader, program manager, CEO, whatever you might be in the firm. So the very first level is position. The team follows because you're the PM. They've got minimal buy-in to the vision. Level two is permission. People follow you because they like you, they trust you, they listen to what you're saying. Then the vision becomes more engaging. You see, level one is do what I'm telling you to do because I'm the boss. Level two is, hey, this is what we're working on together. Level three is results building credibility. So people following you because of what you've done for the firm. This is the vision being promoted through demonstrated success. This is where you want to be. You want the team to have small wins, and it's your job to unearth the small wins so people understand, oh, this is what we've achieved towards the sprint goal, or what we've achieved towards the overall goal, or towards the vision. Number three is personhood. A lot of the Scrum Masters world lives here, investing in people, removing impediments for people. And this is where they champion the vision alongside you. It's like teamwork makes the dream work. And then number five, this is the pinnacle. The vision is so embedded because over and over again, they've seen you be the epitome of the vision sharer, the vision recaster, and the team just promotes it independently. Whether you're there or not, they know what to do, they know what the vision is. So, the servant leadership style, that's one you need to have a mindset for. All this stuff I'm sharing with you is mindset, because this is what's going to help you on the test. Having that mindset of, okay, I'm a servant leader, I recast the vision, I help people understand and connect with each other. Enabler number three, keep the vision current. A vision that isn't refreshed becomes a liability. So, what are some triggers for vision review? Well, we have organizational strategy shifts. If corporate priorities change, that could be a reason. If a key stakeholder changes, or there's significant scope changes, or if the market becomes very competitive, or the landscape shifts in some way, phase gate completion could also be another place where a vision could be refreshed. A lot of times management could look in the rearview mirror and say, okay, this is probably not going to work out well. If we continue like this, let's pivot. So the vision could change, or the most radical is the entire project is even shut down. Things like that happen. We could also have team confusion or divergent work happening. It's a signal that the vision is no longer guiding. So you got to do this. Keep the vision current, right? Don't wait for the sponsor to blare the alarm. You, as the project manager, as the project leader, be ready to do that. So in agile environments, vision is reviewed at every sprint review. Stakeholders confirm whether the delivered increment is moving in the right direction, and this is a continuous feedback loop. This is why agile thrives in uncertain environments. This is where correction is going to happen in small, frequent steps. Every 2 weeks or every 1 week, however long your iteration is, there is going to be a realignment of the vision. There are also going to be many opportunities along the way, all throughout the sprint, for you to reaffirm the vision. And honestly, if you, as a project leader or as a scrum master, as a product owner, are listening very carefully, you're going to know if your team is confused or if they are on point as far as the vision is concerned. All right, on to enabler number four. Enabler number four is breaking down situations to find the root cause. So, diagnose before you prescribe. This is one of the biggest points I'll tell you for your exam. You got to always diagnose in every question, always diagnose, always dig sieve it. So, to break down situations to find the root cause, I actually wrote a book called Dig Sieve. If you go to digsieve.com, you can read my book on problem solving. This is for problem solving at organizational levels, project levels, program levels. But we start off with number one, define the problem. Always define the problem, and then identify the root cause. So, what is the difference between these two? Well, defining the problem means you're getting down to understanding what exactly is the misunderstanding between these two entities or three entities. Which aspect of the vision is confusing? And then you get into identifying the root cause. And this is, why is this happening? Why do we have an unclear vision? Did we exclude a stakeholder? Did we forget to announce a change? Then we get to number three, generate alternatives. Maybe at this point, you bring in the team, have a facilitated session, ask them, okay, using Ed DeBono's six thinking hats or some other tool to come up with ideas, alternatives for realignment, right? And then we choose the best alternative. The PMI used to be really big on these approaches to solving problems. And actually, that's why I wrote the book Dig This was from PMBOK 6. A lot of folks may not have realized that this was buried in PMBOK 6, choosing the best alternative. And then you implement the alternative, you act, facilitate the conversation, update the artifact, do whatever you need to do, and then you verify the effectiveness. This is how you have to diagnose. This is you diagnose, and then prescription, and then you do it, and then you see if it worked. These are the mindsets that are going to help you. Now, the next one I'm going to show you is huge because Dixiv is not just problem solving in the real world, it's also problem solving on the exam. And I just call it the Grandmaster strategy. I also relabel this in a way that will give you ideas for your exam. I call it the PMI. It's a play on words. The PMI of consciousness. You get what I'm saying? There's an I that enables you see. It's like the all-seeing PMI. Anyway, jokes apart, in the world of developing software or products, we generally analyze, then we design, then we develop, then we test, then we implement. So that's the first piece of the eye, the pupil in the eye. And then we have the outer ring. And what we do here, we think more in terms of the different domains, right? Performance domains in PMBOK Guide. So there's governance, there's scope. When you get a question, it's going to fall into one of these. It's going to be either governance or scope or schedule or finance or resources or risk or stakeholder. And then we can look at the problem that we get from PMI with a wider lens, right? And it's going to also touch one of these focus areas. It's going to be either initiating or planning or executing or monitoring and controlling or closing. So whenever you get a question on the PMP exam, you got to be able to dial these to where exactly it fits. It could be analysis and governance, or analysis and scope and planning, or analysis and scope and monitoring and controlling. You get what I'm saying? Now, beyond that, this is where Dixiv comes in. Because when you get a question on the exam, you got to also be able to know what has been done. Have we defined the problem? Have we identified the root cause? Have we generated alternatives? You see, the question, it usually sets you up to understand where you are in the process. So there's so many layers of understanding you need, and all of this needs to happen very quick. And this is why the PMP exam many is hard, because there's so many layers of understanding you need to have, like that. Like, you look at the question and your mind has got to be buzzing. All right, so define, identify, generate, choose the best alternative, implement the alternative, and verify. Now, there's a couple of steps between define and identify. One is you got to break down. So we talked about breaking down any misunderstanding or breaking down the problem further. Sometimes you got to break the problem down further. And then you got to gather data where data might exist. Okay? When you're answering questions on the PMP exam, always get down to the root cause of the problem. You get what I'm saying? Because those question writers, they can be very tricky. The question writers like asking you stuff like, you're running late, what should you do next? Or you're over budget, how do I know what to do? I need to know why I'm running late. I need to know why I'm over budget. You get what I'm saying? If you don't understand these points, it could be very hard. And that's why I always put Dixiv first for the student. Always Dixiv it. Define the problem. If you're not getting down to the problem, and you're not identifying the root cause, it could be very hard for you to choose from the alternatives PMI has given you. Okay, so this stuff I'm showing you right here is very, very important. Welcome, my friends. I see Lovita Lavender. Thank you for coming through. And everyone else who's all on the other platforms. I guess we have some friends maybe on LinkedIn and Instagram. Good. All right, so that is the PMI of understanding. And my advice to you would be, as you take this test, make sure you are thinking, define the problem, identify the root cause, then generate alternatives and choose the best. Implement it in your imagination, in your mind's eye, verify it doubly in your mind's eye before you select that option. Okay. Another thing you could do, which is quite self explanatory, is the 5 whys, peeling back the symptom, right? So let's take this example. Let's enabler 4, still on enabler 4. Let's say a team member builds a feature that conflicts with the vision. To get down to the bottom of why this happened, you want to ask why. So, why? She didn't know which version of the requirements was current. Why did that happen? The requirements were updated, but she didn't receive an update. Why did she receive an update? Oh, she wasn't on the distribution list for the scope change notifications. Why is that? The communication plan wasn't updated when she joined the project. Why is that? Oh, the PM didn't review the stakeholder register after the team expanded. Ah, so now you've gone down to the bottom of it, right? The communications and stakeholder management process weren't updated for team expansion. So the fix is process level. It's not her problem. You see, the problem is not that she wasn't following intentionally. The problem was she wasn't given an update. So this is how you get down to the root cause of an understanding, a misunderstanding. The 5 whys is very helpful to do that. Other ways you can do that is the Ishikawa. Remember the Ishikawa cause and effect fishbone diagram is one. Having facilitated dialogues is a big one for the PMP exam. The PMI default to that. That they might cloak it in some terminology, but facilitated dialogue is great. Surveys and questionnaires are also helpful, and individual interviews, one-on-ones. Okay, let's compare approaches. Predictive approach, we have the project charter. Adaptive approach, vision boards. Now, not everyone uses vision boards. We can also have roadmaps. Roadmaps are probably more popular than vision boards, but vision boards are powerful, so powerful. And there are actually videos on YouTube of Roman teaching this, so you might want to go watch some of those videos. Okay. You can use the kickoff meeting to communicate the vision in the world of predictive. In the world of Agile, we have the sprint goal, the micro vision for each iteration. This must be agreed on by the team. We have status reports and phase gates and lessons learned that help us keep on track. In the world of Agile, we have a sprint review, and we have the product owner, the champion, vision champion, the why behind the backlog, and we have OKRs that cascade the vision into measurable sprint targets where that is used. How do you kill this on exam day? Well, few tips. Look for the most collaborative solution in the questions. Those ones that say escalate or sound menacing and draconian, PMI doesn't roll like that. So you might find them in the options, but those are usually easy to shoot down. It will usually come to two, and you can think of which one will be most collaborative, actually solving the problem. Reject answers built on decree, escalation, mandates, things like that. Paperwork authority, that's not the best. The best is real time conversation and active team charter maintenance. Always look for the root cause, right? Diagnose first, act second. Never escalate before understanding. Know the difference between establishing, promoting, keeping the vision current, and diagnosing the vision misalignment. And expect the unexpected. Be ready to apply vision thinking to both predictive and agile. What can you expect in deeper scenario questions? Well, based on the little that has been shared by those who have been taking the exam, and quite a few people have been passing the exam, so nothing to be afraid of. But they talk about the exam favoring long layered scenarios over shorter questions that they might have been looking forward to. So I'm going to show you 5 questions real quick. And my advice to you will be, in case of spoilers, you might want to just come back, because it could easily take another 30 to 40 minutes. And I don't want it to. I want you to read the question, and then try and answer it. So I'm going to show the questions first, and then I'll show the answers after if you want to stick around for the answers. But I'll do it very quick. All right. So when it comes to these questions, make sure you identify the role, your role, the role of whoever else is talked about. Find the approach signal, words like sprint, backlog, increment, all of those are very good indicators of the environment you're in. The PMI may or may not tell you in a hybrid environment. You can figure that out for yourself. Isolate the actual task. What should be done next is different from what is the root cause. And then what for multi-select? Sometimes ask you to select more than one. Are you ready? Okay, here's the first question. You are the product owner on a 60-person digital banking modernization initiative that runs a Scrum of Scrums hybrid delivery model, a predictive governance layer for regulatory sign-off wrapped around 6 agile teams delivering in 2-week sprints. During a cross-team sprint review, you notice 2 of the 6 teams are building features that optimize purely for transaction speed, while the other 4 optimize for fraud detection depth. A trade-off the original product vision board never explicitly resolved. The regulatory steering committee reviews the release in 9 days, and disagreement has begun, slowing sprint planning across all 6 teams. What should the product owner do next? A. Escalate the disagreement to the regulatory steering committee and ask them to issue a binding interpretation of the vision language before planning resumes. B. Facilitate a joint vision alignment session with all 6 teams to clarify the intended trade-off, then update the product vision board with the resolved priority. C. Instruct the 2 speed-focused teams to develop the fraud detection team's interpretation, since 4 of 6 teams share that reading of the vision. D. Freeze all feature development in the affected teams until the next scheduled quarterly roadmap review. Okay, so I read this to give you an idea of the question length. Just reading this alone, your time almost expires. So I'm going to let you read these. I'm not going to read them verbatim for you. You can read them for yourself. I'm going to show you questions 1 to 5, and then I will show the answers. Okay, so this is question 1. This is question 2. You got to hit pause. Then you got to spend some time reading it, and then you got to choose the answers. This is the 2 actions the project leader should take. Okay, first 2. All right. This is question 3. These are not questions you could go over like in a minute. This takes over a minute to even read for many people. Okay. Question 4. And finally, question 5. All right. So, spoiler alert, if you don't want to know what the answers are, you can just turn away from the computer, turn the volume down, because I'm just going to show you the answers. Okay. I'm not going to comment on them just yet. I'm going to let you go off, take them, and then perhaps in the future I could go over them, but it will be counterproductive to do that now because I designed the questions to really give you a good run for your time. So spend some time reading them, okay? Here are the answers. Question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, and the last question. All right. Well, that's all 5 questions I had for you for today. And that brings us to the end of our very first episode of 40 Days to PMP Exam Success. If you haven't already gone to pmradio.org to register, it's free. You might as well. I have some questions there that you can play with. Those are very easy compared to what I gave you today. But if you're just starting out and you want to like warm up with basic Agile or basic project management theory questions, you just go on down to pmradio.org and take a look at what I have there. I have some questions that you can kick around and you can just get to know them, get to know the content as best as you can. So let me share this with you real quick before we hop off the call. I'll put it in the chat. pmradio.org. And I designed this site to help people who are trying to get certified and those who are already certified, because some people, the PMPs, but they still, of course, need a whole lot of mentoring and coaching. So that was the idea. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. So when you go to PM Radio, you're going to get here and then just scroll down to where it says, so that this is going to be open eventually. But right now, if you just want to take this for a test spin, go to PMP Student, and then you can begin playing around with some of the questions here. These are very straightforward, basic PM basic questions. But if you're new to this journey, this might help you to better understand project management. You can also categorize by Agile and the different areas, the different focus areas. All right. Okay, well, that would be my advice if you are new to this stuff. But I want to say thank you for coming through. I hope it all made sense. If you got any questions, always ask after the fact. And I wish you the best as you continue journeying with me. This is just day 1 of 40. And I can tell some folks are already winded. We're just starting, we're just warming up, okay? As time goes on, I'll begin to show you where you can get some more information. For those of you who want to study listening to audio, you might want to go on down to the Project Management Audio Digest. If you go to audio.pmpdoctor.com, you can grab my Project Management Audio Digest for those who want to study with audio. That covers the PMBOK guide, 9 hours of audio. It's pretty deep. So if audio is your thing, go on down to audio.pmpdoctor.com and you can download that PMP Audio Digest, Project Management Audio Digest. All right. Thank you very much, my friends. I look forward to seeing you again in our next episode. Now, I do want to give you some room to recover, because what I noticed with the curriculum the last time I did it, giving it to you daily was too much. So I might give you a little bit of recovery time in between episodes, but just stay tuned to the channel, because if I show up the next day, then you've got a day that you need to catch up on. So I'm giving you a lot of room as much as possible, but we're going to be done in 40 days. Okay, you got any questions, put them in the comments below. All the very best.